Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in to being a part of the conversation. Folks, we've got a lot to talk about. First, let me talk about the big social media phenomenon known as Threads taking over. Question is, with this major blow up of this social media platform, should we be concerned that it all comes down to one company? We'll have that conversation. Also, a New York Times poll shows how they got different responses from 10 Black Americans about what is life like for Black people in this country. I'll share with you just some of their responses and get your take on it as well. Later, we'll be checking in for a big culture convo about Keke Palmer, motherhood and the male ego. I'll be checking in with online culture crew member Corinna Denise, and of course with you about that situation. And then later, there's a new study about compassion that says that it's not an innate quality that's all within us, but it's actually a skill. What's your take about that, as we are finding ourselves in a time where people seem to don't care quite as much as they used to? We'll have that conversation. So stay with me. A whole lot to get you in today's edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Let's go. All right, folks, welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. And most importantly, happy Friday, folks. Yes. We are at the end of the week. Big shout out to my online culture crew. If you're checking in on YouTube and folks are coming into the room, coming into the space, make sure that you can join us on YouTube as we are streaming live under Roland Martin's page, Roland Martin on YouTube. You can jump into the live chat, and as we are talking about these issues, you can join us as well. So this is one of the very few places where you are a part of the discussion. And so we invite you to join us again on Roland Martin's YouTube page. Just jumping in a live chat, and we got people that are already checked in. Big shout out to my brother who always kicks it off, man. Brother Damon Blissett, good to see you. Janelle Fields, thank you so much. Tiana, I see you. Next one up, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the crew. But folks, I want to hear from you. So make sure y'all get ready to post your comments, share your thoughts, questions, and all of the good stuff. And let's have a fantastic conversation about what's going on in the culture. All right, let me just first start off just briefly. Let's talk a little bit about Meta. Yeah, folks. According to Meta, their new Threads, so microblogging social media platform, folks, is actually just has a blockbuster launch. And that's what this is being called. Over the past 48 hours since the launch of the social media platform, over 40 million people have signed on to Meta. And people are calling this or dubbing this new platform Threads as being a Twitter killer. Question is, folks, should we be concerned about the fact that there are so many people that have gravitated to this new space that is simply like Twitter? It is a rival to Twitter. And so there's ongoing clashes between the leadership of both companies, of Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk of Twitter, who are clashing about everything from features and certain elements of the technology to legal issues of using the similarities of the platform. And people are wondering, oh man, what is going to be the root cause of this situation, or rather, what's going to be the end result of this situation? So it will be very interesting, to say the least, how this thing is going to play out. But here's the thing about the concern that we've always have been talking about and seeing, especially when it comes to technology, which is how big should big tech really get? How much information, how much data, how much should they have an influence in shaping the culture, the conversations, and just creating the space for us to have. Now, many people have already joined Threads. If you haven't joined Threads, I'm telling you, I'm on Threads. I'm on Threads at The Real Faraji, because they use the same data from your Instagram into this new space. And this is part of the reason why so many people are saying that Meta's Threads is creating such a huge buzz, is because unlike in the past where you have to use an app and start building your followers, all Meta had to do was just tap into their Instagram followers, which ranks in the number of 2 billion people. Damn, 2 billion people are on Instagram. All right, let me just share with you a little bit that's coming from this latest report from CNN about the concern that people should have about this situation. Take a look at this, folks. It says that Meta has long been criticized for its market dominance and for allegedly trying to choke off competition by copying and killing rival applications. Now, some competition experts and even some Thread users worry that if the new app's traction continues, it may simply lead to the accumulation of even more power and dominance from Meta and its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg. Thread's blockbuster launch this week highlights the uncomfortable reality of the modern digital economy. To potentially beat some of the biggest players in the industry, you might have to be a giant yourself. Woo! That's where we are with this, folks. That is where we are with this. That if in order to be a competitor, in order to take the market share, in order to be dominant in the industry, you have to be a giant yourself. Folks, I want you to join me in a conversation and let me know your thoughts on this. What do you make of this? Do you think that this is something that we need to be concerned about? That how one major tech company, Meta, who already owns Facebook, who already owns Instagram, who now owns Threads, is shaping the culture, creating the spaces, not really dictating the conversation, but dictating the boundaries of the conversation? Is this something that we should be concerned about, especially since we already know a lot of these tech companies, especially Facebook, has been under great scrutiny from the federal government down to local activists about data sharing and mining, about security issues, and about just overall how the feed goes, how the algorithms are set, and how people are seeing and getting information, and more importantly, how all of this stuff comes together where you might see some things and don't see other things, and there doesn't seem to be the balance. One of the big things that people have said about Twitter was just simply that Twitter has become a very quote-unquote toxic space because of the amount of hate and the amount of just a lot of the vitriol and the hate that people express on themselves, and how that seems to take precedence over some of the other stuff that balances that part of the platform out. So now people are hoping, well, I think there's a cautious optimism here about whether Meta's Threads is going to go down that same road. But I want to get your take on this, folks, very quickly. Join us in the conversation. Post your comments on YouTube under Roland Martin, and let me know what's your take on this. All right, let's go to you. Hear what you got to say. Tiana, my sister, you kicking us off this afternoon. You say competition is good as capitalism. Well, is it? Is it? Is it going to be good for us, considering you have these other spaces? Now, yesterday, y'all remember now, I talked to you about the other social media space that's getting more and more attention, but it certainly won't have the same type of blockbuster launch that we expected to see from Meta's Threads, which is the other platform that is targeting for Black social media users, Spill, right? So we know Spill is out there. So when you throw in that part to the mix, so if you have Facebook, if you got Instagram, you got Twitter, now you got Threads, and then here comes Spill. How many of us are going to jump from, say we completely move away from Twitter? Are we going to do that? Are we going to completely move away from Threads? Are we going to jump on Spill? This level of competition, you said, Tiana, is good. It's good for capital. It's capitalism. You're absolutely right. But is it good for the culture? That's the question. Will it be good for the culture? Now, choices can be good. Certainly choices can be good. But will this be good for the culture? That's something I think that we all are going to have to wait to see. But great point, Tiana. Thank you so much for kicking us off, sis. All right, next one up, baseball. Elizabethtown, you checked in and said, you are dumping Twitter soon. Okay, I hear you. You are dumping Twitter soon. Okay. I would love to know why. Next one up, let me know why. Talk to me. I appreciate the question. Appreciate the comment. All right, Bozer Blick, 40 million followers, leaving one crappy CEO for another. Interesting. It is. Very interesting, right? Very, very interesting. Bozer, thank you so much for checking in. My brother Damon Bassett, you said the legal issues will be the problem, meaning if the new employees that came over from Twitter use their IP, right? That's part of the legal battle, as you know, brother Damon. That's part of the legal battle that both of these companies are. That essentially the persons that helped to develop Twitter left the company, went over to Meta, and started to use the same technology. But let me just say this, folks. And me and my engineer Keenan, we were talking about this yesterday after the show. These companies have been copying and biting off of each other for years. This is not first. This is not like, oh my gosh, they use the same technology. If you go back, y'all remember IBM, when IBM used to be the giant of telecommunications and all of that back in the day. I'm talking about before Apple and all that. Used to be the tech company, right? A lot of people from the tech company, you're talking about Steve Jobs and others who have revolutionized technology in the company. They came out of that space. Bill Gates came out of that space. They learned about that, took what they learned and started creating their own thing, right? So a lot of these tech companies do that. They take, they see a platform, they see a situation set up nice, and then they go, oh, that works. And they take a couple of little features here, little features there, and next thing you know, boom, they create a different product. They repackage the product, put a different name on it, the company brand on it, and boom, here it is, something new. But the technology comes from a place, and Brother Damon, you're an engineer, you understand. That's just, now, some people say that's biting, they stealing. Some people call it innovation. So we would just, I think that's another part of the conversation. But you're right. A lot of do you get mad at using the brains, the intelligence of those who are behind one company who come to another company, and then you're like, oh, but you stole this. You know what I mean? Like you stole those secrets. I don't know. It's going to be something else. Emma J. Sanders, you checked in and said, let them fight for us. Who fighting for us, Emma? Who fighting for us? You know what they're fighting for? Our attention. I'm going to say that again, folks. Social media is fighting for your attention, your time. I'm not making this up. This is what it is. We don't pay, right? We don't pay to get on Facebook or any of these spaces. We don't pay. So how are these companies how they raking in all this money, of course, with advertisers, but advertisers are fighting for your eyeballs. They are fighting for your attention. So when you say, let them fight for us, they're fighting for us. They're fighting that you won't be able to put down your phone. They're fighting for that you will always be notified when somebody posts something. They're fighting for your eyeballs and your attention. Let them fight for us. Okay. We need to detect, if that is the case, and I think this is the space that you are coming from, Emma, if that's the way we want to move, then we need to dictate what that fight looks like. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's talk about this a little bit more as we talk about this threads taking over social media. 40 million people have already decided to be a part, or as they say, to be a threader. So if you are a threader, tell me what your take is on this new social media platform. Join me in the conversation. Post your comments on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. And stay tuned. We got a lot more to cover here in this first hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. First and foremost, if you are not in the chat right now on YouTube under Roland Martin, something wrong. I'm loving the conversation in the chat. We just posted a poll on our chat, and I would love for you to join us and share it and you know, casting your vote. Will you leave Twitter for Threads? That's just the simple question we want to pose. Let me know what you think of that. Some of you already said that you gone. You gone. I'm gone. Let me tell you, there's so many different things happening. And let me tell you, I don't like to be married to the phone, but because it's just too much. It's too much, man. It's too much. You almost forget what the phone's original purpose was. You know what I mean? You like, man, social media. Then you get a call. You look at your phone like, what's that? Oh, somebody's calling me. So we're asking, will you leave Twitter for Threads? We already got a few votes in. I want to get your take on this as we have this conversation. All right, let me go back to you, crew, because a lot of you are just, y'all are really pumped about this. So let's continue to talk about it. Threads is nice. Tiana, you checked in. Good to hear from you. You mentioned that. Let me go to Davey Floater. My God, Davey, you said that's just the nature of monopoly capitalism, not a real critique of meta. Yeah, a lot of people are concerned about monopoly capitalism. And the thing is it good for the consumer? And that's us. But we're not, again, folks, we're not buying anything. We're just logging in. We're not buying anything. There's no membership fee or anything like that. We're just simply logging in voluntarily. Let me share with you another quote. Maybe this will put some things in perspective for you guys as we talk about this. Let's talk, King, let's put the second quote up in here. Let's talk about where Meta stands on how they were able to get to this place with Threads. Instagram, take a look at this, y'all. Instagram has more than 2 billion users. I said that before, but I want y'all to really let that marinate. 2 billion people are on Instagram. I think it's like 6 billion, maybe 7. Y'all y'all check, correct me if I'm wrong, crew. It's like 6 billion people on the planet. So you mean to tell me one tech company has 2 billion people signed into their platform, into their product? 2 billion users, far more than the 238 million users Twitter's reported having in the months before Elon Musk took over. That's before he took over, 238 million. I don't think that's the right number now. I'm sure that number has declined. When new users sign up for Threads, which they do using an Instagram account, the app prompts them to follow all of their existing Instagram contacts with a single tap. It's optional, but it is easy to accept, and it takes a conscious decision to decline. So you just bringing all of your followers over to Threads. You can't do that with Twitter. But that's the big part of this business model. They don't have to build it from the ground up because the house is already built. Check this second part out, folks. By promoting Threads through Instagram and by sharing Instagram user data with Threads to let people instantly recreate their social networks, Meta has significantly greased the onboarding process. That frictionless experience has allowed Threads to leapfrog what's known in the industry as the cold start problem, in which a new platform struggles to gain new users because there are no other users there to attract them. Dang. All they did was take what they already built and just say, hey, you ain't got to worry about no new followers, none of that. Just hit the button, boop, and guess what? You got your thousands of followers, hundreds of followers. You got all these people that you can reconnect with right on Threads. Now you're not just seeing pictures, but you're hearing what they got to say. Okay? Let me go back to you, crew, because so many of y'all are checking in, and I'm loving it. Again, we still got our poll up. Will you leave Twitter for Threads? Okay, here we go. Real Brooklyn, you checked in and said any company, no matter how big they are, is still at the mercy of the consumer. Facts. To a certain extent. Here's why I say to a certain extent. Here's why, Real Brooklyn. And I know, brothers, you gonna challenge me on this one, and I'm ready for it. If the company, only if that company is no longer seen as necessary or viable, will consumers kind of dictate the agenda to the company. But for a case like Meta, for any tech company, you think about it, but for these tech companies, the relationship between us as the consumer and that company is so intertwined that it's hard for us to even walk away because we could not fathom our lives not being without that company. Does that make sense? I hope I'm making sense to y'all. We couldn't fathom it. So we could talk about, oh man, we can leave this and leave that. How many of us are willing to walk away from all social media? Most of us have the major platform. Here's what most of us probably have. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, now Threads, right? If you do Snapchat, if you do WhatsApp and all of that other stuff, but Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads. 4. You got four things. Out of the 4 major platforms, 3 are owned by the same company. So, are you willing to walk away? Or has this relationship, and I'm saying our relationship, our love, our admiration, there's no way in the world that you launch a new product and in less than 48 hours, you have 30 to 40 million people on your product. In less than 48 hours, folks. 48 hours. That means that the desire to be connected is so high that it's like the supply demand of the situation, right? Y'all get this. Supply and demand. The demand is so high, the supply is short. So if you're not on Twitter, it's like you're on Threads now. And Facebook has probably created the infrastructure to withhold, and that's the other part of this, that, you know, of the capacity, the infrastructure to be able to take in all these people. So I don't know who's dictating the agenda. I don't know if consumers like us, I don't know if we're the ones controlling the narrative, or are companies controlling the narrative. I don't know, because we got to go deeper into our relationship. Can we walk away from certain things? You got to ask yourself that. Can I walk away from this? And as much as we might complain about social media, guess what? Social media is still a very lucrative market. Millions to billions of people are still on the platforms. So who really has the power? All right, let me go to this. Jawan, my sister, you checked in and said, I'm not a huge fan of Zuckerberg, but so far I like Threads way more than the hellscape Elon has turned Twitter into. Wow. Wow. Demetric Brown, I appreciate you for saying it, Jawan. And I saw you on, I think we were friends too, Jawan. Demetric, you checked in and said, no, I'm glad Meta competing with Twitter because I don't like Elon Musk anyway, and I'm not on Twitter anyway. All right, so you must be one of the ones that's going to be leaving. Well, you said you're not on it at all. Karen, my sister, you said, like many, I was looking for an alternative. I deleted my Twitter account the day after Elon purchased it. Damn. I am on Threads, and we'll see how it goes. There's cautious optimism. We'll see. That's what I said, Karen, when I put my first little message. Let's see how this thing goes. You are not a victim. You said Twitter wasn't considered toxic until they weren't allowed to gatekeep information like before. Facts. But they don't know how to rein people in. Thank you. You are not a victim. Vic Abram. Vic, you checked in and said YouTube is the closest thing that I have to social media since 2016. And some people like that, Vic. I'm sure you're not the only one. Some people have to be very conscious and intentional about which social media they're going to engage in. Willie, my big brother, you said both of these places are toxic as hell. Add in political season and ads, how much money will be involved? Facebook may have a little more moderation, but neither I will consider a safe space. Hashtag Nubian. Right. Because we haven't gotten to the thick of the political season. So we don't know how that's going to go. That's a great point, brother Willie. Thank you so much, man. Let me see else who we got here. Let's see this. Janelle, you said the problem is that social media has already won the fight by using our data and our tendencies against us. Ooh, y'all know how I feel about social science. I love it. I love it. And Janelle, you hitting the nail right on the head. They're using the technology, the data, but then they're also using our human tendencies. Against us. You said we could be smarter consumers and make our connections work for us. Too many expose everything. We do. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about. And I think, Real Brooklyn, you were making that point earlier, talking about, the consumer has the power. But what if the relationship between you as a consumer and the retailer, and in this case, Meta, what if that relationship is so deeply ingrained in how you see the world? It becomes a part of you in some way, shape, or form. I love that, Janelle. Thank you so much for pointing that out, sis. Very quickly, Pretty Brown Mimi 726. Good to see you, Pretty Brown Mimi. You said, I spent time cultivating my apps. If I try Threads and I don't like it, I don't want to lose Instagram too. And that's the other part. You're like, I'm not feeling Threads. I don't know if you can keep your Instagram. Woo! Real Brooklyn, you said I'm still on MySpace, man. Get off the chat, man. Get off the chat, Real Brooklyn. You ain't, come on. Nobody talking about no damn MySpace, brother. Mike V, you said, Faraji, one white man has control of 1/3 of the world's population. Talk about digital colonialism. Woo. 1/3 of the world's population is on one company's platform. Man, oh man. All right, look, I got to take another quick pause. Let's keep the conversation going. I still got our poll up. Will you leave Twitter for Threads? Let me know what your thoughts are. Let's continue the discussion. And I want to get more from you. So stay tuned. A lot more as we talk about Threads upending social media. Should we be concerned? Stay with me, folks. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Man, good afternoon, everybody. Peace and welcome back. I'm all like shaking up because I'm reading all of your the conversation in the chat. Check it out, folks. Make sure y'all go on our YouTube page under Roland Martin. Be a part of the conversation. As so many of my culture crew members, man, I just enjoy reading what y'all have to say. Even if y'all don't even agree with one another, y'all still bring up valid points. Now, we don't want to get into name calling and all of that. We don't need to insult people, but we can go back and forth. We can challenge people on the points at hand, on a topic at hand. So big shout out to everybody that is trying to keep the conversation at a certain space, because this is why we have the show. And more importantly, this is why we need to have a discussion, because things are happening around us. Things are happening that impact us. And we're not talking about it. We don't get a chance to say anything about it. So I'm all for that. Brian Christian, you checked in and said digital colonialism. Wow, that's new, right? I love that. I'm going to use that term, y'all. Digital colonialism. But when you put it in there, and when you say that one person or one company has the power of a third of the population, 6 billion or 6 billion, or I think a little bit over 6 billion people in this, on the globe, on the planet, and 2 billion people are logged into Instagram, are signed up as users. 2 billion. That's a lot. I want y'all to really think about that. So I'm with you, Brian. Digital colonialism. Woo! Big ones. Let me see something here. Let me see who else we got here. Damon, you talked about fan base. Again, these other apps, and again, this thread situation, it's like huge, right? But will it divert us from other apps? That's the big part. If fan base is still there, Spill is out, will it divert us from other apps? Especially apps in digital spaces that are designed and created for Black folks. for black folks. So will you have a Twitter account, a Threads account, a Spill account, Twitter account, Threads account, fan base account? Who did I see? Who did I see that said they got like a pretty brown Mimi? Mimi, you said I have Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, TikTok, and YouTube. I'm trying to delete apps and get more sleep. LOL. I hear you. God bless you, Mimi. Some of those have to go. God bless you. I can't have my phone blowing up all the time over something. You can't get through your day. Again, I'm going to go back to it. Folks, it's all about attention and time. Your time is so much more important and much more valuable than your money. Always remember that. I learned that when I got older. When I was younger, I was like, oh, man, please, money, blah, blah, blah. No, I want my time now. That's how you know you're getting older. You're like, money come and go, but your time, when it's spent, it's gone. You don't get that back. Let me see something here. Who else we got here? Checking in. And I appreciate y'all. Nicole, you said something that I think was really important. Here's what you said, Nicole. You said, at the end of the day, it is all about power over the distribution of information and who will make the most money. I know we're part of a capital. I'm going to deal with the second part of what you said first. Making the most money. That's capitalism. That's everybody, that's how companies work. That's the way of America. The problem is that first part, what you said about the distribution over the information. How do we feel about that? How do you feel about that? If somebody has that much power to distribute all this different information, and Nicole, you know it, and like I know it, sis. What information? Like, we have to now start to look at the specifics of the information. Is the information good information? Is it true? Does it help the culture? Or is it information that is rooted in lies that will do more damage than good? So that point that you made is excellent. The distribution of information. That's so important. That's why we even have Black Star Network. Y'all know why. I mean, it's about information. We often have been telling, Brother Roland has said it, I've said it, all of the hosts have said it, we've driven home the point. It's about telling our story, getting our conversations, getting our information out there, because there has been a disregard of our story, of our plight, of our struggle, of our joys, of our triumphs. I mean, all of this information. So the distribution of information is very, very important. I want to take a couple of more from you, crew, before we move on to our next conversation here. Peril Dispenser, you said, I don't use Twitter because I'm not a twit. Laughing. No, I don't use it because it's just never appealed to me. I won't be going to Threads either because why? I'm not giving old boy any more of my time. There you go. There you go. There you go. Pauline, I know you're not jumping in here with that question. Come on, Pauline. Come on, Pauline. Come on, Pauline. Don't jump in the chat and ask that question. What is Threads? Come on, Pauline. Come on, my sister. Come on, my sister. Come on. Come on. I need you to work with me. Brother Damon, thank you for the fact check. You said the world's population is 8 billion per Google. My brother Damon always on point. 8 billion. So if you get 2 billion out of 8, you got a fourth of the population. Damon, please explain. Help me understand. Are you talking? Look, that means that one company got more influence than governments on the whole planet. Y'all hear me? One company has more influence on the people than the governments of the planet. That's huge. They got a fourth of the world's population on one single technological space, one single technological platform. That's huge. This ain't no conspiracy theory. This is not about Big Brother and all of that. This is just looking at the basic numbers. 8 billion people on the planet, 2 billion are on Instagram. Y'all break it down the way. Y'all are critical thinkers, right? We're critical thinkers here. So we got to look at those things. All right, right now, we're seeing, let me see here. Will I leave Twitter for Threads? Let me just jump in. 63% of you who have been a part of the poll said that yes, you will leave Twitter for Threads. 63%. 37% no, you will not leave Twitter for Threads. 63%. The demand is so high. And as crazy as it sounds, and as we wrap up this part of the discussion, as crazy as it sounds, folks, instead of Mark Zuckerberg going to war with Elon Musk, he should offer that man to dinner, because it was the madness of Twitter that helped launch Threads to make it the success that it is right now. So I wouldn't be going to war with him. I'd be sending him some champagne or something. Thank you. Thank you. Like, no, we ain't got no beef, Elon. We ain't got no beef at all, bro. We ain't got no beef. You good. I'm good. That means the demand was in Meta's favor for them to even do what they did this week. Let me see here. Who else we got before we take this in? All right, McCole, you followed up very quickly. You said exactly, Faraji. Misinformation has been running rampant. The absence of truth is a matter of life and death, politically, economically, education, etc. The absence of truth. Whew. Y'all don't want me to get started on the absence of truth, but we understand. We're all conscious individuals here. We understand that if we can go into this thing with eyes wide closed, eyes shut, or eyes wide open. We still have a decision in that. Going back to what you said, Real Brooklyn, about the power of the consumer. We still have some choice to engage. Now, I'm not telling you whether you should or not. Like I said, I'm on the platform itself. But we got to make sure, and I think the next part of this conversation will be, how is this going to help with what we got coming down the pipe with the spill application? And Mimi, you brought this up. You said, I'm curious about the spill app because it's black owned. Will we sign up in droves? Because if Spill is saying, hey, guys, we rocking and rolling, y'all coming over? How many of us are coming over? Or are we going to be apped out? Or rather tapped out? So I think that's something that we need to really figure out. You see what I'm saying? Who are we? And then we have to become more conscious and more intentional about who we give our time and how we give who we give our attention to. The other thing that y'all said, and I don't remember who said it, I'm looking back, but it was said, we will really see what this app can do with Threads once we get closer to the political season. If we start to see that the course of the conversation, the toxicity that we said we wanted to run from Twitter for, when running away from Twitter about, persists on Threads, then what will happen? So we will. This is just as much as people are like happy in some cases, but like I said, I think a lot of us are like cautiously like, okay, I mean, it might be to a point where at some point we just be like, you know what, enough of the apps, enough of this type of connection, quote unquote. Let's just do something different. We will have to see, but trust and believe, folks. This thing is taking over in a very, very big way. And this is not about whether it's right or wrong, but I do want us as Black folks in this country to be intentional about where we put our time and attention. All right, look, I got to take another quick pause when we come forward. Big culture convos coming up. Let's talk about Keke Palmer and her boyfriend, who's acting like, what does he have to say? We'll talk about Keke Palmer. We'll talk about motherhood and the fragility of the male ego. We'll have that conversation up next. Stay with us. It's coming up in the next hour of the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it.
This is about covering us.
Invest in black-owned media.
Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks.
We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible.
Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Faraji Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture. Weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation, the space where you help to have the conversations about what's going on in our culture. We had a phenomenal first hour. We just simply talked about this blockbuster launch of Meta's Threads. If you didn't get a chance to listen to the conversation and to hear what the crew had to say, make sure you do your due diligence and go back and be a part of Team Replay and watch the discussions. And folks, trust and believe that conversation will not just die down. We will certainly be discussing this more and more and more. Now, I want to shift gears from technology into, let's see, what can we call this part of the conversation? Talking about women, talking about a woman's agency to her body, talking about motherhood, talking about Keke Palmer, who over the past couple of days have gotten some support because her boyfriend named Darius, who decided that he was going to put his foot in his mouth in a way that I think I saw Essence.com say he was trying to embarrass Keke only to find that he was embarrassed himself. All right, here's the latest situation, and then we're going to go check in with our crew member today, Corinna Denise. When we look at the situation with Keke Palmer. So Keke was in Las Vegas. She was going to see Usher perform his residency there in Las Vegas. And this happened, the whole situation kicked off on Wednesday when she stepped out with her friends and just having a girls' night out. A video comes up because she was being serenaded by Usher on Twitter, in a video. That video was posted to Twitter. And so her boyfriend, Darius Jackson, criticized her for not looking like a mother. he posted, "It's the outfit though. You a mom." He's the father of their 5-month-old son, Leotis. And as soon as he wrote that tweet, Lord Jesus, that man got a backlash that he probably never thought he would get. He thought he was putting down his manhood. I'm the man. I get it. But he got hurt in the process. He responded to the backlash by saying, quote, "We live in a generation where a man of the family doesn't want the wife and mother to his kids to showcase booty cheeks to please others, and he gets told how much of a hater he is. This is my family and my representation. I have standards and morals to what I believe. I rest my case." Well, after he posted that, Keke went on to post more pictures of herself in her all-black sheer outfit and said, "I wish I had taken more pictures, but we were running late." Darius Jackson deleted 2 tweets before he ultimately deactivated his Twitter account yesterday. But of course, the conversation continues to talk about a woman, the agency of her own body, policing, and all of that. All right, let me bring in my crew member today, my sister Corinna Denise. You see her on Fridays here on The Culture. You also can check her out in the chat. I guess she was involved getting herself ready. That's why she wasn't chatting too much in the early hour, the first hour of the show.
I was still working.
Wait a minute, hold on. I gotta fix my hair. Hold up. This is giving Friday vibes right here.
That's okay. It's been I'm sure it's the end of a long week.
Right. Let's first talk, Corinna. First, happy Friday. Thank you for being a part of the conversation. So what do you make of this? Darius Jackson, he's a boyfriend, right? I was like, he said the wife and mother. I was like, wait a minute, they didn't get married, did they? Did they get married?
Not to my knowledge, but you know, since he's saying wife and mother, maybe.
Yeah, maybe he just felt like I need to say that because this is my son. Boy, you in Hollywood, son.
Okay, so where do we want to start with this, right? Well, let me give some context. First of all, I love Keke Palmer. I followed her work for a long time, but you know, the thing is, I don't even want to make the argument of what she was wearing. I want to make the argument of, Darius, you're not smart. Why would you put your relationship business like that on the internet? And then furthermore, let's consider who Keke Palmer is. I mean, if you're going to do these things, you have to be prepared for a backlash, right? And
right.
He one hell of a backlash to the point that he deleted all his social media handles, right? But why couldn't you just have a conversation at home with the woman? Why would you go on social media? See, that's the problem right now, Faraji. We share too damn much on social media these days. And it's like, there's no more mystery. This was completely uncalled for. So I don't want to focus more on what the conversation was about, but it just shouldn't have been on any social media platform. And then, okay, what does it mean, like, you're a mom?
Come on, man.
Like, what does that even mean?
Look, I get it. No, let me tell you. Hey, Corinna. Corinna, no. I'm gonna keep it real. Like, I get what the brother is trying to do. I really do. I think he did it the wrong damn way. But I get what he was wrong, right? Like, first thing, that's just the immaturity. Right. That's the immaturity. Now, who said this? Mimi, Pretty Brown Mimi, he said, didn't Darius watch Keke get ready and leave wearing that dress? He sounds like an insecure, jealous boyfriend. I don't know. I don't think he was there.
Maybe he wasn't.
I think he was someplace else, and then he saw the video and was like, yo.
Tell the woman when she comes home, don't go on social media. And then if I'm not mistaken, Faraji, didn't he post more than once about it? Like, he had to further explain himself.
Right. But somebody pulled him up. Of course, this is in 2023 in social media. So if you're going to put yourself on, if you're going to put your significant other on blast, somebody gonna find some stuff about you. And I saw one sister post this picture of him in his underwear sitting on the side of the bed taking a picture.
Yeah, you know,
and
maybe
it's like, but see, again, that's the patriarchy, right? That's the problem. That's really the problem. Look, I gotta take a quick pause, Corinna. We're gonna continue to talk about this, and of course, we're gonna get some of the insight from our crew about this. But folks, what do you make of this? Keke Palmer, motherhood and the male ego. Join us in the conversation. Post your thoughts on our YouTube page under Roland Martin, and of course, stay with us. You're tuned into the culture right here on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
An angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol.
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear. Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Welcome back to the Culture here on the Black Star Network. We are talking about Keke Palmer, motherhood, and the male ego. We're talking about Keke Palmer and the whole riffraff of her boyfriend, Darius Jackson, saying that she didn't dress like a mother when she went to see Usher in Las Vegas a couple of nights ago. I don't know, King Keenan, if we can, show the video, just let me know. But that's her. That's her. That's Keke. Now, and Keenan, put that back up there, and let's put Corinna back into the frame here too. Now, I've seen sheer outfits. I'm thinking Sierra. Who else? Who else has had it, Corinna?
Gosh, I can't think of.
I think there are a lot of black women. I've seen sheer outfits. I get it, but now the other part is that there is a screenshot that is circulated on social media about that Usher. You could see her rear. You can see her butt, right? Like it's out. And there's a shot of Usher looking and checking and all of those things, right? But the insecurity that I think Darius Jackson is expressing is not insecurity necessarily about Usher. It's more about her presentation. And this is something that I often see, especially for brothers, that we often do. The crazy is we are attracted to a woman who wears a certain thing, right? When we first meet her, that's what catches our attention. It's like, damn, up, all of that stuff. The moment we get into a relationship, it's like lockdown, boom. And there is a way in which you can address that. But you got to recognize a few things. One, who that woman is. like before you came into her life.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right? And then two, you gotta have a conversation, not going this social media bullshit that we see. Like people, oh my God, you just put it. There has to be a very real conversation. Like, sweetheart, this is how I'm feeling. In a moment of pillow talk or vulnerability, whatever you want to call it, sweetheart, this is how I'm feeling. I'm just letting you know, because we're living in a time where Black women are fighting for agencies y'all are fighting for agency over your own body.
Yeah.
And so for a man to not recognize, to think he gonna just quote unquote put his foot down. All right, my woman wouldn't be doing that. Please.
Yeah. You know what, Faraji? I wonder, like, what was Darius's end goal to put this on a public platform, right? That
he was trying to embarrass.
Right, yeah. Like, so what? I'm gonna embarrass you, so that's gonna make you stop? Like, no. An army came to her defense, obviously, right? And you know what? Let me just say too, because I want to give Keke her props. I mean, she's always been beautiful. I've had the pleasure of meeting her twice.
All right, let me hold on.
For real?
She's
a true beauty inside out.
There we go.
Wow, yeah. This is when she was on Good Morning America, well, GMA3. Yeah, that's me, her, and my mom right before the world shut down. But very genuine, beautiful spirit. She will take her time and make sure she talks to everyone in that audience, like true beauty. And I want to say she's always been beautiful, but I think we've all noticed that since she's had this baby, she has had one hell of a glow up. So I think
here's what I think you will appreciate what I'm about to bring to the conversation, which I think is important, is that there are some undue expectations and some very damaging expectations that we do place on Black women, but particularly Black women who are going through some major life changes, like having a baby, the impact that has on the woman's body. Here's what, take a look at this, because this whole thing plays into it. Like, this is still 2023, and I think this is why there needs to be some additional conversations to Black men and to men in general about how to relate to the woman in your life, right? Take a look at this first quote. This is coming from Raina Boston, who is she's the founder of the Working Momtras and Chamber of Mothers. She said the idea that someone might be able to, quote, look like a mom is a result of patriarchal thinking. She said it comes from somebody else setting the terms of a woman's existence. This is what she told Yahoo Life. She said, when speaking in a very heteronormative way, there's this idea that once a woman becomes partnered with a man, it's almost like that's the beginning of the death of herself. And then once you have kids, it's game over. You're just in service of your husband, in service of your children. You as a person cease to exist in a lot of ways. Woo! Woo!
That's earful.
Woo! That's heavy. Now, this is, and I'm saying that as a man, of course, I have 2 children by the same woman. That's heavy, because now it forces me, and I think this type of talk forces men to not think about yourself. You got to think about the woman in this whole process, how she feels about her body. You might be feeling a certain way about the body, but you ain't feeling more than she's feeling about her own body.
Right. You know, she has to carry that baby. There are changes going on in her body. And you know what? When I initially saw the picture, let's just talk about her outfit for a second then, since we're on the subject. Yeah. I didn't even realize all of what it was because I just saw the front. So it wasn't until I did some more Google search last night that I saw the back of her dress. I mean, so it looked like it was like a bodysuit underneath, but like a thong bodysuit. But again, like, you know, going online was not the way to do that. And it sounds like, I think what we can infer, maybe there was something there before. Maybe this has been a conversation, and maybe he just thought, like, you know what, in order for me to get through to you, I'm going to put all of our business on blast. But we see how that panned out for him, right? It definitely didn't work in his favor. And all he did was inflame the situation more. And to your point, Faraji, I don't know if he was necessarily taking into consideration all of those other things, maybe how Keke is feeling, changes in her body, and just what Black women especially are enduring in general, trying to maintain agency over our body. You know, that's really a time we've always lived in, and especially something that's very much magnified, you know, currently right now in this country, right? So there's so many emotions here, and you know, I just don't even know how they move forward from this, you know, to magnify that online. It just wasn't the way to do it. And I hope that this will be a lesson learned for him. And then additionally, I would just say, you know, to his point about, you know, having a family and she's a mom and all of that, I don't want to throw salt, but you know, you mentioned earlier, we don't know if they're married.
No,
You
they're
know,
not married.
I think
They're
we
not
will still
married.
be making the same, right? Like to our knowledge, right, they're not. So it's kind of just like, all right, you have all these expectations, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say it. Okay. It's like it's just easy for us to, you know, live together, procreate together, have businesses together, do all these things together, but together we're gonna drag our feet to sign that marriage certificate. But you know what? That's probably a conversation for another day.
Yeah, keep sipping that tea right there, because you going into somebody else's business with that. No, I feel you. No, I feel you. I agree with you wholeheartedly, and I think that's the part of this, right? Like you can't, and again, this is why one of the great sciences that was not taught to us after coming out of chattel slavery was the science of mating. The science of having fulfilling relationships. We're struggling right now in this country, Corinna, because men and women are not on the same page. We're not on the same page about our roles. We're not on the same page on how to support one another. We're not on the same page about how to communicate with one another. We're not on the same page in understanding and being empathetic with one another. Like we're hurting. We're hurting, right? Yeah. I'm hearing there's just so many there are so many couples, there are so many people that are walking away from relationships and all of that. And I get it, because some things, you know, depending on the person or the situation, you know, that's the place that you find yourself in. But for this type of thing, and I saw people on, girl, you need to leave that man. You already the breadwinner in the family, so you don't even need
see, all of that. That just opened the door.
You need to leave a joker like him.
Yeah,
it really, like, we need to have a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a conversation.
I don't even want to allude to that, Faraji. You know, and unfortunately, that's what happens in social media, where they just, again, blow it up bigger than something than maybe it already is. And you know, I don't want to invalidate his feelings in any way. You know, we're gonna have our opinions. So again, I want to make sure we stay focused on the point is that the way it was handled was not the appropriate way to go about it, because now instead of handling it internally, you have to deal with all the backlash, right? And now the focus is kind of like off of their initial concern or issue or whatever we want to call it, to now you're dealing with trying to manage your public image and all of those things. So it kind of just shifts, and then it just furthers the breakdown in communication, right?
Right.
Because we're not what the situation was firsthand, because now we got everybody else involved in our business. So, you know, it could have just been a knee-jerk reaction, but again, like, this is not the way to handle it. Like, we need to stop putting all our business on social media. You know, I'm trying not to get to the point, Faraji, where I dislike social media, but it's getting to that point because we tell too much.
We do tell too much. We do tell too much.
Keep it to yourself sometimes.
You know what? And I think that is the point. I got to take another quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to share with you another part of this, because just as much as Darius has to learn about certain things, you know what I'm saying? The culture needs to learn about certain things, and women. You know, I've actually come across a couple of posts in this whole conversation, Corinna, where the whole idea of a woman snapping back, the snapback culture, as they say, the recovery, quote unquote, from having a baby, and then you jumping back into the gym, and then you wanting to be seen as if nothing happened to your body. You see what I'm saying? And is even that healthy? Considering the fact that you gave birth. I mean, you gave life to another human being. Why do we shame a woman for her body because she gave her? We're excited she got the baby. Oh, so was pregnant. But let her look like a woman who gained a little weight here, and some things changed.
Yeah, right. Same for
Next thing
something
you know,
that's
the
so
culture's
natural.
like, damn, I mean, she's rich and famous, so she can't go into the gym. Like, we impose certain things on ourselves. And I see women doing this to other women. And so I think that we need to talk a little bit about that. Folks, stay with us. Join us in the conversation. Make sure you throw your comments and questions into the chat here as we're streaming live on YouTube on the Roland Martin's page. And of course, stay with us. We still got a lot to talk about with this subject. And hopefully we can get to our next topic as well, right here on The Culture, here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about Keke Palmer, motherhood, and the male ego, talking about that situation that kicked off in the middle of this week on Wednesday when Keke Palmer's boyfriend, Darius Jackson, decided to add some criticism to the actress as she stepped out on girls' night to see Usher in Las Vegas, and he was not happy about what she wore, going as far as to say that she's a mom. You shouldn't be looking this sexy. I want to show you the video in case some of you may not have seen this. Let's take a look at what Keke Palmer did when Usher was serenading her. Take a look. All right, we don't have that video, looks like, but if we got some additional pictures, King, let me know. That way we can post those pictures up. I want to get back to my culture crew member, Corinna Denise, who is a college admissions advisor. She's an activist, and of course, one of the great voices that we have here on the culture. The thing is, looking at how this whole situation just plays out. Again, I don't want us to get into. It's very easy to get caught up in the the tangible stuff. Oh, looking at the outfit and saying, "Oh, it's not so bad," or "It is bad." It's very easy for us to quote unquote blame Darius Jackson.
Right.
But I think the thing that we need to look at is the stuff underneath, because this actually happens in a lot of different relationships. You have these unrealistic, unmet expectations that if you don't have a communication, if you don't talk about these things early on, they manifest itself in a very ugly and public way, like this situation played out. And so
I think you just unrealistic expectations. I think you just hit the nail on the head. Unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, yeah. I think that for him, and I've talked to other black men about this very same topic. It's when you don't feel like you have control, when you're not the quote unquote the one in the lead. Keke Palmer, like I said, she's the breadwinner. She's the more famous one, right? Here is a man that obviously she feels a deep affinity for because she lay down with him and decided to have his baby with this man and continue the relationship, right? But he still might feel insecure in his own self because who she is, right? The light that she is. And you don't have to be for Keke Palmer. I know I've heard too many situations where dudes get into a relationship with women normal guys, normal relationships, and it's like the guy loses control because he doesn't feel any control in the relationship. He may not be bringing in the type of money. He may not have the moral authority that he wants to have. He may not be able to control, and I'm using this term lightly, ladies, so don't beat me up.
Yeah,
he may not be able to control her. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He putting her, so he's feeling he got to assert his masculinity in some way, shape, or form, but it becomes an ugly expression of one's masculinity because it comes out in an immature way. It comes out very hurtful. It can come out to be very instead of being a moment of clarity, it just becomes this clusterfuck. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But I want to bring up something else as we talk about this. Hey, Keenan, let's throw up quote number 2 on this, because this is the other part about it. The other part is that we don't know what's going through Keke's head after going through that 5 months after she just had her son. We don't know if she's experienced some level of postpartum depression. We don't know we don't know what the type of environment she's been in with Darius Jackson and you know what I'm saying, when she was pregnant, having the baby and kind of coming out of this. So this is what another psychologist said about this whole situation. This is Donna Oriowo. There we go. I'm making sure I said that correctly. Donna said she's a race, sex, and gender therapist. She points out that, quote, owning or enjoying one's sexuality is expected to end once women take on the role of mother. For Black women, there's additional policing as a result of, quote, a history of white and male dominance coalescing toward the idea that our bodies are not ours and thus are fodder for others to exert their ideas and desires for power and control on. Donna also said that this also helps to explain the phenomenon of snapback culture, in which new mothers are expected to slim down to their pre-pregnancy figures right after giving birth. But as Boston notes, that's the other therapist we mentioned earlier, this is intended to make the woman more attractive to her partner, not others, in Palmer's case, someone like Usher. If you go on to, and I just saw this morning, if you go on to thegrio.com, they got a whole piece. I'm just pulling this up. Let me see, making sure. I saw this piece. Maybe they took it down. They had a whole thing that says in defense of Keke Palmer and her maternal, like, sexiness or something along those lines.
Okay.
And it's like, that's a lot. See, and this conversation for me, Corinna, is more sobering than anything, because at the end of the day, this is still talking about one woman, her body, her view of herself, right? And how this creates such a storm around just her body. I could not imagine what, to wake up today and people are talking about what you should be putting on your body.
I know.
I couldn't imagine.
She went to Usher's concert just to enjoy herself, was feeling good, put on her dress, and then now she has to deal with the backlash and the scrutiny. I can imagine how embarrassing that is. But to your point, like the deeper part of the conversation, and you know what? I think maybe, I don't know, Darius, like he had a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah. A lot of times, sometimes, and we all do it as human beings sometimes, where we just don't think before we react or we respond, to think like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, but what's going to be the result of that? And am I prepared to deal with the backlash or whatever may come with the way that I plan to respond or react to this person, how they're behaving or how they're treating me or whatever we're trying to sort out here. And that just wasn't thought through. And now they're dealing with the repercussions of it. But, I think since we are talking about it, let this be an example of this is not the way to go about and do things. And again, at the very least, let's take some of the good. It magnifies, women, particularly what our bodies go through after, just in general as a woman. We deal with so much stuff. And I just want to add one little petty side note.
Okay, get petty. We know you can get petty.
A lot of our ladies, our problems tend to start with men sometimes. Menstrual cramps, menstrual periods, menopause later on in life. Yeah, petty side note. But yeah, so back to what I was saying.
Right.
To add that.
Right.
So on top of that, it's like to have to put that display in the public eye, you know, however she was feeling, why do you have to do that? And I think we have to be a little bit more, you know, considerate, compassionate, you know. Shaming her publicly is not going to resolve your issue as to how you want her to dress. And then on top of that, again, back to like, you know, you're a mom. Okay, so how would it be if she wasn't a mom yet? Would she not have received the critique that she did from him publicly online? Is that what he's alluding to? I'm trying to understand here. So,
hey, see, look. Here's the thing. We don't know the full backstory. See, he put it out there that I should not have the wife and mother. Wait a minute, bro. Wait a minute. Hold up, brother. Hold up. No, because this is something that I see in relationships. This is something you see in relationships right now, where people want to play husband, play wife.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because see, when you boyfriend, girlfriend, there's certain things that you can do. You know what I mean? There's a slow, you know what I mean? There's certain things. But once you are a husband and wife, oh nah, bro. Like we at a different level with this commitment thing, right? We at a different point. So, but see, you plan. Like you can't be dibbling and dabbling. I mean, that's the thing. Like you can't be like, I'm your boyfriend in certain spaces, then you get on social media and be like, yo, that's my wife.
And from that was the point that I was making. Right, that was the point.
And I see a lot of brothers doing that. I see a lot of people doing it in couples. Like, don't just throw terms out there just because y'all close. Like, oh man, that's the wife.
Mm-hmm.
No, because if she was the wife, she would have half of what you own, probably 75%. You know what I'm saying? She would have agency over your body.
Wow.
If she was your wife, you wouldn't be moving the way you move.
So do you think it's you know, maybe there's one set of rules for her?
Oh, no, I definitely think it's one set of rules. And you know what I'm saying? And I'm bringing up these points because I think we need to bust down the patriarchy, and we need to bust down this idea that I mean, there are a lot of things that we need to kind of like take down, but the patriarchy is the big thing, because a lot of our relationships, and I'm talking about heterosexual relationships, are built off of a male gaze. And the woman is not considered. The woman is seen as the prize, quote unquote, as the property. And if you want to get into the slang use of the terms, you know, she's the piece, right? But she's not the whole. And as a result of not seeing the woman as the whole, you see her more as the like the cherry on top, not knowing she might be the whole ice cream. You know what I'm saying? Like, so now y'all saying stuff like, no shit, I ain't the snack. I'm the whole meal, Negro. I'm the appetizer, the entree, and the dessert.
I came to you whole. Like, I was whole when you got me. That's right.
Say it again.
I said, I came to you whole. I was a whole me.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the part that's missing. And going back to what the sister was saying about a woman losing her sense of herself because of now she is partnered, she does have children. Like, that's a hell of a thing, man. And if anybody has, in crew, y'all, if you personally, or if you know somebody who has gotten into a relationship and have lost themselves, that's not cool, man. Nobody wants to. You don't want. I mean.
But usually when that happens, Faraji.
Yeah, go ahead.
There's a lot of. That's an unhealed person, right? There's a lot of healing that hasn't occurred, that they've become so lost or drowned themselves in another being, because there's this falsity that, you know, your happiness is dependent on someone else. And that's a great way to place on someone else's shoulders, you know? So until we recognize as human beings that we're responsible for our own happiness, then you'll never experience that true joy or happiness, right? Because you're always looking for it in other people, always expecting or always hoping that someone else is going to give it to you. And as human beings, we're going to disappoint others. It's human nature. So, you know, we have to be thinking in that way, like only you can truly make yourself happy. But yeah, there's just so many emotions involved in this.
It's so much stuff. It is so much stuff.
Yeah.
It's really big. But my hope is that we can find in the midst of all of the Hollywood superficiality of it, it's to me it is a huge sign that we still got some ways to go to learn how to be in relationships with one another, right?
Oh,
and this happens, same thing. It happens in same-sex relationships too. So this is not just about, you know, a man and a woman. It could be two men. It could be two women. It's about power. It's about superiority. It's about having control of a situation. And so, you know, I think it just speaks volumes about where we are, how much more growth that we need to make. And in this day and time where you have all of these resources, everybody's on social media talking about, you know, what men do and what women do. And then you see a situation like this just completely just blow up in your face. You're like, damn, like somebody's not getting the message here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody is not getting the message here. But one of the big things is that a person, you said it best, a person comes into the relationship the way they are. Your partner comes into the relationship the way they are. You got to respect them for who they are and not impose on them who you think they should be or who you want them to be, because that completely eliminates them from the equation. A person can't be who they are. I was just reading very quick.
One quick petty side note, quick.
Sure.
And it definitely makes a difference, even though it seems like we're in agreement that, you know, it was handled inappropriately. But it's very different when that's coming from your boyfriend or your husband.
It's very different.
You know, very different. Now, I still wouldn't agree.
If I'm your boyfriend, you take it with a grain of salt. If I'm your husband, you better listen. No, I'm serious. Same way for the wife. And versus the girlfriend. The girlfriend, you got, okay, all right, it's my girl. I get it. She right. You know what I'm saying? But if I'm your wife, we share life together. You go through the trials and tribulations and the joys and the triumphs and all of that stuff. Negro, you're gonna have to listen. And guess what? She is right. You do have to listen to her. If she brings a concern to you, that's, as a man, I got to give her an open ear. You're right. You're absolutely right. So, you know, it's a lot. Look, we got to take a quick pause. I know that this situation is going to continue to be happening, but I want to have a discussion about the idea of compassion, because I think it kind of fits into where we are right now, that as much as stuff is going on in this world and in our interpersonal relationships, there's somewhere along the line, we do have to ask ourselves the question, are we compassionate? And there's a new study that came out, Corinna, that says that compassion is not an innate quality, it's actually a skill that has to be cultivated and developed. So we'll have that conversation. Folks, stay with us and continue to join us in the chat on YouTube as we're streaming live right there under Roland Martin's YouTube page. And stay with us. You tune into The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks
phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Faraji Muhammad. I've been chatting with my sister. Always happy to have her join me on Fridays. My sister, Corinna Denise, one of our great culture crew members. And as we talked about a little bit about this Keke Palmer case, it led me to think about this idea of compassion. And there's a new study that has come out to show that compassion is really a skill, and not something that we all just possess and all will express. This is coming from Psychology Today. And the woman, Dr. Michelle DeMarco, she puts it out there. Compassion is more than niceness. There's this new science on human goodness. And I think these type of studies are interesting, Corinna, because it helps as one who loves to study social science and understanding human psychology. You know, it helps us to understand the things a little bit deeper and a little bit from a different point of view. Just very quickly, we are so automatic in our day-to-day life, automatic in our relationships, and we really don't think about how we take in things that are happening, whether it's information, whether it's circumstances. And more importantly, we're not conscious or more intentional about how we respond to things. You know what I'm saying? So if somebody does something that you don't like, then automatically we just go into, I'm pissed off, I'm angry, I'm upset. Versus thinking twice or thinking 3, 4, 5 times about the response that we're going to give, the energy we're going to give to a given situation. So here's this piece. It talks about compassion. And one of the key points that the doctor brought up is that compassion is the recognition of suffering in self and others with a desire to alleviate and prevent it. She talks about this. Take a look. This recognition, this idea that you not only recognize that other people are suffering, but you want to help prevent it. She said, it says, compassion operates through evolved psychological and physiological mechanisms that underpin our mammalian caregiving motives and behaviors. Contrary to popular opinion, compassion is different than empathy. Empathy allows us to take the perspective of another person, cognitive empathy, and to feel the emotions of another person, affective or emotional empathy, whether positive or negative. Compassion emerges when those empathetic thoughts and feelings include a commitment to help. I thought this was very interesting.
That is very interesting.
Because if you are compassionate, essentially you want to help to try to prevent the suffering, alleviate the pain of a situation. Now, the thing that got me is that to see this whole situation play out, that this is a skill. This is the new science. That compassion has to be cultivated and developed. Like in order for us to care, and in this piece, they call one of the things that the doctor points out, she said that we are in the current state of what they call psychic numbing, which is meaning that we can take in information, but it won't affect us emotionally. And that's because there is this, what they call this phenomenon of mass indifference that we're currently seeing in our society, especially in our culture, where we're taking in information. You can hear about a tragedy, you can hear about a joy, and it just don't bother you.
I wholeheartedly agree about that. And I think especially what we have endured these last 3 years, there's been so much chaos, confusion, destruction, devastation, death. I myself will be very transparent. Like I've known a lot of people who have died this year, late last year. And it's gotten to the point now when I hear the news, it's kind of just like, okay. And it's not that I don't feel anything at all, but it's almost as if it's been happening so much that you become a little desensitized.
Yeah.
And I really don't want it to spiral into that, you know, full-fledged. So I'm trying to be very conscious of that. But I think to your point in the article about, you know, compassion being something that's cultivated, I think a lot of traits are cultivated, right? Even some of those nasty traits, right? Like even like racism, like, you know, children are innocent. You come into the world innocent. So you have to be raised up and influenced and taught and again, to that word, cultivated, cultivating these things in you. And compassion is something we are lacking greatly right now.
Absolutely.
I think we'll point fingers faster than we'll raise questions to be like, well, why is that happening to this person? What's happening? You know, it's just we're ready to do this and blame rather than try and figure out, well, how can I help them? Why is this happening? You know, or race to judgment. You know, well, it should be this way. And we have to realize sometimes, you know, everyone wasn't brought up or raised up the same way. And just because you were exposed to certain things in your childhood or your bringing up, it doesn't mean that that person also did that. There are some people who really don't know or really don't have. And I think that's where we have to challenge ourselves to become more inquisitive to kind of figure out, well, what happened that, you know, I know it, but they don't, or they have it, I have it, but they don't have it. You know what I mean? Instead of just, we're not compassionate, Faraji. And it's something that we desperately need, you know, to just, you know, and I think sometimes people misconstrued maybe having compassion for enabling someone. And that's just not the case. But we definitely need a little bit more love, light, compassion, and understanding. But there definitely is a difference between, I think, compassion and empathy, though.
Oh, absolutely. Damon, our pastor, you know, Brother Damon, he said, as a pastor, I agree that we have to learn to have compassion. We have to put ourselves into the other person's position and give grace.
Yes.
For the situation.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? So you put yourself in somebody else's shoes, you give them grace. But then there's also that piece about making sure, okay, how can I alleviate the pain? Mm-hmm. See, it's one thing to be like, damn. You know, you hear something, you be like, damn, that's messed up.
Yeah.
But it's another thing to be like, damn, that's messed up. What can I do?
Exactly. But a lot of us
are to help you. You know what I'm saying? Like if somebody, you know how people are, if you lose a loved one, they always say, you can always, I'm sorry for your loss. You can always reach out to me if you need something. You know, that's a level of compassion. The other thing about this.
But you know what, Faraji? I just want to say real quick to something you said. I really do believe there's a big difference between saying, you know, call me if you need me, as opposed to, I'm going through something and just say, hey, you know, can I bring dinner by for you tonight? Let's have dinner tonight. Huge. Or something like that, right?
Huge. That's
you know, very different because it takes a lot of like vulnerability and strength and, you know, for someone to actually pick up the phone and reach out, but they don't always have the capacity to do that. So I think we have to be a little bit more forward thinking rather than waiting for someone to just call me because you told them to call you if they need you. But, you know, just go ahead and take the initiative. You know what? I'm going to come by tonight. And then if they decline your invitation, then they do that. But, you know, don't just leave the ball in their court, because sometimes people, you know, you got to check on your friends, you know. And I know I'm that strong friend that, you know, people forget to check on sometimes, as I'm sure other people have experienced, right? But we got to check on each other and just take the initiative to like extend that compassion. I think that's what compassion would look like for Raji, where you're just saying, you know, hey, let's hang out, let's do something, as opposed to call me if you need me, you know, while the person is sinking in their depression and they're not going to pick the phone to call.
That's a great point. Yeah. I want to get to the second quote real quick, Keenan. I know we got to wrap up, but here's the second point that the doctor made. He said, according to a recent study, they found that since COVID-19 pandemic, fears of compassion have increased. The same study also suggested that people fear compassion because they believe it to be weak or self-indulgent, or that they will become too distressed or unable to cope, or that others or themselves simply don't deserve compassion. The latter I see quite frequently in my work with moral injury. Fearing compassion can prevent our inherent caregiving response to be turned on or acted upon, in that we either ignore or miss entirely the suffering signal and fail to answer the call to help alleviate that suffering. Mm. So when we, and this is where I was going back to that point of psychic numbing, that mass indifference, that's sometimes what we are, that's what we all experience in our culture, that this like, it is what it is. That is a true mantra of indifference. It is what it is, right? Like, that's indifference, right? But if we don't, and I'm going back to that, if we fear compassion, whether we fear to show it or whether we fear to receive it, it prevents us from being caregivers. If y'all notice, in our culture, the more and more that we're exposed to violence, the more and more we're exposed to lies, the more and more that we're exposed to the things that causes us to go inward. The things that causes us to go inward, the more and more that we're exposed to these things, we lose some sense of humanity in the process. So we can walk past a homeless person, not even see him. Right? We can see somebody in trouble on the side of a road, not stop for help. And I'm not saying that you got to, because I understand the time is crazy, but there's always, but I'm saying that at least in your heart of hearts, checking yourself. I'm gonna go back to what my brother Keenan talked about. Like, when you as a black man see another black man, what's the first thing comes to mind? Do you see him as a threat, or do you see this as an opportunity to connect with your brother? In a positive way. You see what I'm saying? Like, this, it's just a like I say, a self-check situation, because we don't know the full story. Right. And if we showed a little compassion to one another, especially within our community, and I'm not saying that there's a difference between showing compassion versus being completely blind to somebody who's showing you who they are, as Maya Angelou said, right?
Yeah.
There's a difference. But if you show compassion, then maybe it will start the process of getting us back into a place where we can have more fulfilling relationships, right? And like I said, even with the Keke Palmer thing, very quickly, I don't know where Darius's head is at. I don't know what your experience has been like, bro.
Yeah.
That you put yourself out there and then you deactivate it from Twitter. You don't want to talk to nobody. I don't know it. And so my heart goes out to him too, because it's like, hey, bro, I know you were trying to be that guy.
Yeah. Real quick, so I want to say to your point, I think a lot of us are operating in a space of survival of the fittest. And not paying attention to each other, where you are desensitized, where you're not, you could just walk right past the homeless guy, or, see someone stranded on the side of the road. So I think it just goes back to the basics of, treat others the way you would want to be treated. If you're ever in a situation, especially, I know it really shatters all of our hearts when we see like the constant news stories, particularly with us, and we're basically being hunted out here as a people, gunned down. And, I never take for granted when I walk out of my front door for IG and come back in. And, it's just a blessing each day that we get to do that, because when you do turn on your 5 o'clock news and you see the tragic story, these are ordinary people just like you and I, who are going about their day. They weren't anticipating any disruption, and then the disruption came, right? And I never want to walk around like I'm invincible, like those things can't happen to me. I mean, we can't operate or move in fear, but I think it's important that we are conscious that, we want to extend that compassion and support, because God forbid we find ourselves in that situation, we will want the same kindness extended unto us.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Very quickly, you are not a victim. You said we are so self-observed, my truth. Compassion and empathy will always be an afterthought to a person who feels they have more intrinsic value than anyone else. I love it. Your truth does not supersede the truth of somebody else. Your truth is your truth. Their truth is their truth. Their truth is, and my truth is my truth. But guess what? It doesn't supersede the value of each other, of me over you. Excellent point. Corinne, I gotta let you go. We gotta hop off, but I truly, truly appreciate you and your brilliance and your intelligence today. So thank you so much, and God willing, we will see you next Friday right back here on The Culture.
Thanks for having me, Faraji. Peace, crew.
Peace. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. Do your due diligence and show some little bit of compassion for us. as we continue to build this platform. Go to blackstarnetwork.com, do your due diligence, support the platform like no other. We are looking for financial donors to help us continue this great platform, this digital space. So go to blackstarnetwork.com, see all the great programs that we have. Download the app for free on all of your devices. And of course, follow us on all social media platforms, including Threads. We are on Threads. Follow me on Threads at The Real Faraji. Follow Brother Roland at Roland Martin, of course. And, of course, Black Star Network. So follow us on all social media platforms, and we would love to continue to build. Folks, I thank you so much for a phenomenal week. I hope that you enjoyed the show that we had today and the conversations. Make sure you tune back in on Monday, God willing, where we'll be having more discussions, and I got some more fantastic guests next week, so make sure you don't miss out on that. All right, stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk on Monday for another exciting edition of The Culture right here on the Black Star Network. Talk to you soon. Have a great weekend. Peace.